The timing of it all was what made people suspicious first. Not the card itself, not the carefully filtered photograph, not even the emotional caption praising the airline crew for supposedly making her anniversary unforgettable. It was the fact that the entire performance appeared online only hours after one of the most uncomfortable public appearances she has faced in months. Headlines surrounding Geneva had already begun turning sour, criticism was spreading across social media, and suddenly, almost like clockwork, a softer, sweeter story arrived to flood timelines and push the backlash out of sight. A handwritten anniversary card, cream-colored paper, dozens of signatures, a glowing Instagram post, and celebrity magazines instantly ready with exclusive details about how deeply moved she had been by the kindness of the British Airways staff. According to the carefully managed version of events, crew members approached her individually during the flight, shared emotional memories about watching the royal wedding years ago, presented champagne, sweets for the children, and heartfelt congratulations for the couple's anniversary. It sounded less like an ordinary flight and more like a scene lifted from a romantic film script. And for a few minutes, perhaps that was exactly what she hoped people would believe. But the internet is no longer as easy to fool as it once was. Viewers have become far too familiar with polished celebrity storytelling, especially when every emotional moment somehow arrives with magazine coverage attached and anonymous sources close to the Duchess repeating identical talking points. The cracks started appearing almost immediately. One royal commentator did something remarkably simple. They checked British Airways' own website, and buried there, in plain sight, was a detail that shattered the entire illusion. The airline openly offers anniversary arrangements for passengers celebrating special occasions. Customers can request signed cards from the crew, complimentary champagne, and personalized touches during flights. In fact, passengers are even advised to bring their own card on board for crew members to sign. Suddenly, what had been presented as a spontaneous outpouring of affection looked painfully ordinary. Worse than ordinary, actually, it looked staged. The romantic surprise no longer seemed like an emotional gesture from strangers overwhelmed by admiration. It looked like something organized in advance and then carefully repackaged for public sympathy. And once people realized that, they began examining every detail of the photograph itself. That was when things became genuinely embarrassing. Social media users noticed repeated signatures, identical handwriting styles, and suspicious similarities between names supposedly written by completely different crew members. Some signatures appeared twice in slightly altered handwriting, as though someone had forgotten they had already signed the card once before. Former airline staff pointed out another problem. The number of signatures exceeded the usual size of a British Airways long-haul crew. Others noticed a complete lack of official branding. No crew titles, no captain's signature, nothing resembling formal airline correspondence. Everything about it felt strangely amateur once people stopped looking at the soft lighting and emotional caption. But the biggest mistake was printed clearly on the card itself for everyone to see. The flight number. Within seconds, people searched it online and discovered the route connected Heathrow to Los Angeles, not Geneva to Los Angeles. That single detail changed the entire conversation overnight. Because for years the public has heard repeated claims that Britain had become too unsafe for her to visit comfortably. Court cases, interviews, and documentaries all reinforce the idea that returning to the UK placed her at risk. Yet here she was quietly traveling through Heathrow Airport without incident, moving through British soil without fanfare, photographs, or visible concern. No dramatic security fears. No hostile crowds. No dangerous confrontation. Just an unnoticed airport stop she clearly never intended the public to focus on. And perhaps that explains why the anniversary card suddenly became so important. It redirected attention beautifully, at least for a while. Instead of discussing awkward headlines from Geneva or questions surrounding the UK visit, the conversation shifted towards romance, kindness, and sentimental gestures. But only until people started noticing how familiar this pattern has become. Every few months, another perfectly timed emotional anecdote appears. Someone on a plane supposedly overwhelmed with gratitude. A stranger moved to tears after meeting her. A handwritten note produced for the cameras at exactly the right moment. Magazine exclusives appearing within hours. Anonymous insiders insisting she was deeply touched. The structure never changes because the strategy never changes. Create an emotional narrative strong enough to drown out criticism. The trouble is audiences have become increasingly aware of the formula. Even the anniversary video posted alongside the card raised eyebrows almost instantly. Instead of feeling natural, viewers described it as painfully staged. Prince Harry wandered into the kitchen carrying a cake while singing Happy Anniversary to Mama, as though performing a role rather than sharing a genuine private moment. She quickly added, "and Papa" behind the camera, almost as an afterthought, and people noticed the awkwardness immediately. Couples celebrating anniversaries rarely behave that way in real life. The scene looked less like a marriage and more like content designed for social media engagement. Then viewers spotted the candles. 4 candles on a cake celebrating an 8th anniversary. Comment sections exploded with theories that the footage was old, possibly recycled from years earlier and repurposed for a new post. Others questioned the children's voices heard off camera, claiming they sounded far younger than expected. Even the cake itself became a talking point because Harry carried it so effortlessly with one hand that some viewers joked it looked fake. Every detail people examined only made the entire production appear more artificial. And perhaps the saddest part in all of this is Prince Harry himself. Once upon a time, he was viewed as a rebellious but genuine prince. The soldier who served in Afghanistan, the founder of the Invictus Games, the young man who walked behind his mother's coffin while the world watched in heartbreak. There was warmth to him back then, humor, unpredictability, authenticity. Now he often appears strangely absent even when standing directly beside his wife. Throughout the anniversary coverage, he barely spoke publicly at all. No heartfelt tribute in his own words. No visible excitement. No personal message celebrating their marriage. Every quote, every emotional description, and every exclusive insight came through a preferred media channels instead. He seemed less like an equal partner and more like a silent figure moving through scenes created around him, carrying the cake, standing in the background, smiling when required. The contrast had become impossible for many viewers to ignore, and perhaps that is why this latest story triggered such a strong reaction online. People are no longer simply criticizing celebrity behavior. They are questioning authenticity itself. Audiences have grown exhausted with carefully manufactured emotion presented as reality. They know when moments feel rehearsed. They recognize strategic publicity disguised as sincerity. The glossy perfection that once impressed people now often creates the opposite effect because viewers instinctively search for what feels hidden underneath it. That anniversary card was supposed to look warm, romantic, and spontaneous. Instead, it opened the door to uncomfortable questions nobody involved expected the public to ask. And once those questions started spreading, the entire fairytale image collapsed faster than anyone could control. If you enjoyed today's video and want more deep dives into stories the headlines barely scratch the surface of, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and stay with us, because this story is only just beginning.